Welcome to JWO Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. So, all right, right now we're with First Things First with Nick Wright reacting to the Broncos benching Russell Wilson. And I just want to put a flag in this by saying, a few days ago, I said Russell Wilson will not be back with the Broncos. I made a YouTube short about it, and a bunch of people were messaging me saying, no way, that's crazy. I just want to say that take aged extremely well. So I have to do my quick little victory lap about that because I said Russell Wilson was not going to be with the Broncos. Now he's being benched. They're clearly going to move off him. And, you know, it's crazy. I would love to know what your thoughts are with regards to this. So please definitely let me know in the comments below. I respond to all the comments. So definitely, please, I want the engagement. Please also, when you watch this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps with visibility. And definitely, please subscribe. Join this community. We're really building something special here. It's very engaged. I'm very excited, and it's been a great experience so far. So I would love to see you there. Without further ado, let's get to it.
Oh, boy.
We start with Broncos country. Let's take it in stride. I tried. I went to the rhyming dictionary and everything. Russell Wilson benched to avoid injury, so the Broncos wouldn't owe him even more money. It looks like his release, which would cost the Broncos, and brace yourself, $85 million, is a foregone conclusion. Nick, you predicted this for months, even when Russ was okay, and Brew and I were trying to get you to move off the take. Started off slow, 1-5, had 12 touchdowns. You're still throwing some touchdowns. Then week 7 through 12, 5-0. He had 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then 1-3, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. A loss to Bailey Zappi and the Patriots.
Wild.
And it's looking.
He's so pleased.
I'm not listening. It's got nothing to do with us. Thank you, Wilds.
Bingo.
That's the real headline. One of the most classic of the category 2 opinions.
Everyone.
Eventually right. And people might wonder, you know, Nick, how'd you know? And it's very simple. Watch the games.
Okay, see, I knew it.
He never was playing well. You know how I knew? I watched the games. He was cooked near the end of his time in Seattle. You know how I knew? I watched the games. Sean Payton never liked him. You know how I knew? I watched the press conferences. He was going to get cut at the end of the season. You know how I knew? I read Spot Rack. It's all out there for you. It's all available.
So I don't know how much Broncos games you guys all watched, but with this it was very clear when you watched the games that Sean Payton and the offense was really trying to work around Russell Wilson. Did Russell Wilson make some great throws? Obviously, he's an NFL quarterback. He's obviously a good quarterback, right? He's not trash and dumb and awful, so he can obviously do some really great things at times, but he obviously could not consistently. So many of these passes were dink and dunk behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, like, you could just see the eye test. You could just see that the confidence was not there. And then when you kind of really pull back and look at the tape, you can see that he was missing some really bad calls in his pre-snap decisions. Like, all this stuff was clearly adding up. And that's why Sean Payton was yelling at him, you know, in a lot of ways. Obviously, we don't know exactly what they were yelling about, but so much of it is like, what are you doing? You're missing these, you know, you're making the wrong decision, or you're just missing these opportunities that if you don't take them, then what are we doing here? We're not going to be successful. And Sean Payton is a man of pride. He has a big, gigantic ego, and he was not going to take the fall for this. You know, he is going to blame, you know, Russell Wilson. And whether it's right or wrong, clearly Russell Wilson is kind of somewhat of a common denominator in this issue. I think to some degree, though, Nathaniel Hackett has to be redeemed. Do I think that, you know, Nathaniel Hackett is, you know, a future elite head coach? I have no idea, truly. But the truth is like, he did not have success with Russell Wilson as a, you know, and he was a first-year head coach, which is difficult enough. Sean Payton is a Super Bowl champion, seasoned veteran head coach who you can throw him in any situation and he'll be able to make do, and he failed with Russell Wilson. It's that straightforward. So why should we expect a brand new head coach to just magically succeed with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos? Clearly not. That's not fair. If an elite future Hall of Fame coach, you know, who's highly respected, can only do so much, then why do we think a brand new rookie head coach, your first year head coach, is going to be able to do that? They can't. So I think he's kind of owed a little bit of an apology, because think about it. Sean Payton was talking a huge game, blaming Hackett for the way the Broncos looked. Well, now you're benching Russell Wilson, and, you know, Hackett has nothing to do with that. So which is it? What's the actual story here? So I think this is, you know, I think to some degree, Russell Wilson is a little bit of a scapegoat, but at the same time, he's obviously not what he once was. And I think, right, the whole thing was let Russ cook, let's do this. And it was kind of, to some degree, believed that in Seattle, that they hid his weaknesses, that they hid how good he was. And that's kind of why, you know, it's also kind of, people believe that the team fell apart, because depending on who you are, you thought that Russell led them to the Super Bowl and led them to the championships. And if you're, you know, maybe looking at it more closely, you're like, actually, the defense led them to the championships. And actually, Russell Wilson, with his interception, cost them another Super Bowl. So whether that's the reality or not, you still have to be a competent, good enough quarterback to get your team to the Super Bowl. There's plenty of great defenses that still can't make it to the Super Bowl. So the fact that they were able to get to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, and then get to the Super Bowl again clearly shows that Russell Wilson is obviously a good, competent quarterback. But I don't think you can just throw Russ into any situation.
The games are on TV, the press conferences are there, the contracts are public. And we all could see it if you would open your eyes to it. Unfortunately, and this hurts my heart, despite the fact that I am here to tell you guys and try to, on things like this, educate you guys for the better part of 2 years about Russell Wilson, it has been a point of contention. So, my dear friends, on a day that could be a first things first, you know, somewhat victory lap, it's just my victory lap and your guys' collective embarrassment.
What did I do?
And you are a flip-flopper, but you are more on that side. And now I have to bring, you know, I don't like to do this.
Is there a banner?
No, there is a clip from before the year even started, and I would ask people, I know it's going to be hard, when we're playing this clip, pay less attention to the wisdom I am spitting and more attention to Brew's facial expressions, please. Run the clip if you would. Listen, Brew made a big whole thing when he lost the Baker Mayfield Kyle Trask argument that, well, by week 8, it's going to be Trask. I'm telling you this much right now. I think there's a good chance Baker is the starting quarterback longer than Russ is.
Baker is the starting quarterback longer than Russ is.
Bruce, look at his face. Look at his face. The shock, the awe. And we sit here today, and Baker Mayfield, as a Player of the Week award, is about to clinch a playoff.
So this is why I don't want to build this channel off of predicting the future, because it's brutal. And if you could truly predict the future through your analysis consistently, you're not on TV. What you are is you're just going to bet and gamble and make billions of dollars. So I think it's fun to clown someone for being wrong or taking a victory lap when you're right. But at the same time, this is like so deceptive, because Nick Wright is wrong all the time. His record this year is absolutely awful with his calls, clearly, obviously. And I think Brew has actually been pretty on point with a lot of his takes. But obviously, he got that one wrong. And Baker Mayfield is playing pretty well. But that's also kind of more proof, is that, can't you guys see that this is why it's appropriate to not crown someone as the king of the world so soon, like Brock Purdy? We see Brock Purdy having a great season, a great couple 2 seasons. And, you know, you have people that want to crown him and say he's the best. And you have other people that say he's not. And then if you say he's not, they freak out and say, how dare you say that? At one point, Russell Wilson was so high up there. I mean, look at the contract that the Broncos even gave him. You know, I mean, like, Russell Wilson was seen as, you know, really the next big thing. You know, prior to Patrick Mahomes entering the league, like, he was essentially supposed to be Patrick Mahomes, right? This mobile quarterback, really intelligent, well-spoken at the mic, you know, a good team player. You know, the media likes him, you know, has a good personal life, doesn't get in any trouble, kind of nerdy, kind of dorky, right? Like, he was supposed to be that. And it just never panned out. I mean, he was like seen as a deadlock to be in the Hall of Fame. Now I don't know, right? Like, what do you do with Russell Wilson? Does he get into the Hall of Fame? I mean, yes, he won a Super Bowl. Yes, he's had some success, but like, I don't know. It's like, what do you say Russell Wilson is elite? And if you want to say that he was elite, for how long? Right? Like, there's got to be a sustainability factor. So even if he had a few years where he was unbelievable, it's like, but how long? I mean, it's just, is Cam Newton a Hall of Famer? Because in a lot of ways, he's almost kind of had not exactly a similar career as Cam Newton, because Cam Newton really put a team on his back and really was Superman for the Panthers, but he didn't win a Super Bowl. Russ won a Super Bowl, but had an elite defense and all this. And then also, this also hurts his stock to be a Hall of Famer, is that interception. No matter whose fault you want to blame, whether you want to say it was a bad call, this, that, good defense, it doesn't even matter. It's the fact that he was the one who threw the ball, got the interception, lost the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just as big of a part of his career as any of his highs. It just is. So with Russell Wilson, I'm not so sure that 10 years ago or however many years ago, it would have been the worst thing in the world for you to say, look how amazing Russ is. He's the future of the NFL. He is elite. He is unstoppable. He is a, bona fide Hall of Famer. Let's go. And now you're like, he's, who wants him next season? I mean, seriously, like who's really going to be dying to pay legit money for Russell Wilson? I don't really know. I'm sure there's going to be some teams, right? Baker Mayfield got a job. There's Gardner Minshew's playing, but I don't know if Russ is going to want to be a backup quarterback. And that's what I really want to see, because when he threw that interception or whatever, he immediately just said, oh, God came down and told me, I'm testing you or whatever, and which I thought was so inauthentic. By all means, believe in what you believe in. I don't believe that was an actual felt experience for him, okay? I'm sorry. I don't believe that God spoke to him in that moment. That's just my personal opinion. Sorry for anyone that I offend. But I will say this, is that if that was true, well, he's about to get benched and he's about to, get cut loose to another team. And I want to know, will he be a backup quarterback? Will he be humbled enough to do that? Or is he just going to live, that superstar $1 million Sierra lifestyle and have too big of an ego to do that? I actually am more excited to see that. I really hope he's offered a backup role, because for the sole reason is I just want to see if he'll actually take it, because that'll show us the type of character. If he actually takes a backup quarterback role, which I think he'll probably get a starter's role, probably somewhere. I would have to look and see what teams are available. Maybe like a Washington Commanders or something, not entirely sure. But maybe the Patriots. I don't know. Maybe. But so I think that would actually be more interesting, and that would tell me more about his character than anything else. But what do you all think? Do you think Russell Wilson is actually an elite quarterback? Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? Do you think he shouldn't be benched? Do you think he's being kind of used as a scapegoat for Sean Payton and the Broncos? Would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with the visibility, so I would really, really appreciate it. And definitely subscribe. I'm trying to build something special here. We're well on our way of doing it. It's really awesome. It's all free to you, and it means everything to me. So please don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.